It's not easy being green, and over the years, it's not easy beating green. As the Buckeyes open the Big Ten season in East Lansing, they remember the ghost of Spartans past. John Cooper, Urban Meyer, great teams that lost everything at the hands of Michigan State. If the Buckeyes hope to celebrate a Big Ten title, they'll have to fight for their right to Sparty. The non-conference schedule is in the rearview mirror, and the GPS is set on Lucas Oil Stadium. First stop, East Lansing, Ohio State, Michigan State. The football fever starts right now.
Welcome into another week of the Football Fever. We've got a packed house this morning. Kellyanne States here with former Buckeyes Ben Buchanan, Opie Stillwell, and Jay Richardson. Our Dave Holmes will join us from East Lansing in just a moment. But first, it's the beginning of the Big Ten Conference play today. Ohio State taking on Michigan State. The Bucs had it easy so far with their schedule this season. First road test. How are we feeling, guys? Nervous, excited, a little bit of both?
Guys, I'm excited.
I'm excited,
I feel like this is why you come to Ohio State. We know that, right?
Yeah.
That's no disrespect to the Western Michigans and the Akrons, but you come to OSU, Columbus, Ohio, where the lights, shine the brightest. Obviously, we're on the road at East Lansing, but to enter Big Ten play, to be on the road, to have that night game atmosphere, a freshman like Jeremiah Smith making his first road game. I know we're going to talk about that in this show. Excited to watch these Buckeyes make their mark in history. 2024 could be a special year for Ohio State. They're so loaded at the quarterback position. We know what Will Howard is doing, that two-headed monster at running back. Defense looks like they're going to be special this year as well. I'm excited to open Big Ten play.
Yeah, I think there's just a different type of energy when you go into Big Ten play. Everyone knows now this is where it really counts. So I'm excited for that.
Fellas, it's the first night game.
Oh,
It is not just Big Ten play, it is a night game. And there's something about night games. The energy is different. The crowd's going to be alive. Everyone's going to be excited. I'm very, very curious to see the young players on this team react to an away game. It's different when your home crowd is there and your routine is there and you're leaving the Blackwell and you kind of know what you're doing. When you're on the road, anything could happen. You're a little bit uncomfortable. You're not in the best hotel and everything's going to be different. Your pregame routine's going to be different. Can these guys stay focused on the road in their first Big Ten competition, and can they lock in and handle a team that is not a great football team? And they should go out there and really execute and blow them out of the water, if I'm being honest.
Jay, some good foreshadowing there because we will also bring that up later on in the show. But time now to bring in our fifth member of the Fever crew, Dave Holmes. He's got boots on the ground in that state up north this morning. Dave, about 8.5 hours until kick, but what's it like right now in good old East Lansing?
It's one of those beautiful days you always hear about here in East Lansing. It's really not. It's just breezy. It's overcast. It's always an ugly day. I swear it's Seattle of the Midwest. I think this is my 8th trip up here to Spartan Stadium, and it always just has this kind of vibe. It's an overcast day. Good temps, though. We think the rain is going to hold off. But you know who else was dreary? This week, Ohio State defensive coordinator Jim Knowles. Not that Jim is always excited to talk to the media. He's a very understated, low-key guy. But this week, he was especially forlorn when talking about his defensive effort last week against the Marshall Thundering Herd. The Silver Bullets gave up 264 yards to Marshall, a couple touchdowns in the first half. They only had 1 sack. They didn't force a single turnover. And because of that, Jim Knowles decided not to name a Defensive Player of the Week last week on his unit. Here's what he had to say about that decision.
You got to speak truth, and while we had some champions, we had no one that we thought really showed, a silver bullet of the game performance.
And in the previous 2 games against Akron and Western Michigan, the Silver Bullets had actually outscored the other team's offense 12-6. The Buckeyes did look better in the second half when they shut the Thundering Herd out. But I don't think we need to worry about the defense, guys, long term. But I think Jim Knowles using this as a wake-up call as his team gets ready to go into Big Ten play tonight here in East Lansing against the Spartans.
Obia.
Thank you so much, Dave. On paper, the Buckeyes have one of the most feared defenses in the game, ranked 2nd in the nation in total defense. But a slow start last week against Marshall for the unit. DC Jim Knowles keeping it real. No silver bullet performances this past week. Guys, do you think the defense is meeting expectations so far? Jay, I'm going to start with you.
First things first, I love what Jim Knowles did there. Not giving out any awards. We're not patting ourselves on the back for not dominating Marshall like we should have. I thought they moved the ball actually fairly easily. I know dual threat quarterbacks have always always been kind of a thorn in the side of Ohio State defenses, and that's something that happened last week. Now, obviously, it's a bend but don't break style defense, but I'm talking about the fellas up front. I'll let Obi talk about the back end and the linebackers. That's his specialty. But the big boys up front, fellas, you have got to control your gaps. You've got to maintain leverage. I want to see Jack Sawyer and number 44, Mr. Tuimoloau, out there wreaking havoc on the edges, and we just haven't really seen the production out of our defensive ends that we want to see. Caden Curry made some plays, and some of the young guys mixing in are making some plays, and we want to see that. But I want to see our starting 2 defensive ends really start to crank things up and put pressure on opposing offenses. Obi, what do you think?
You know what? I think we play a very conservative defense. At the end of the day, I think we play a gap control, conservative, almost a prevent type of defense. If with 5 defensive backs on the field, I can't see you playing any other type of defense. So to say that there's no silver bullets or someone that you can award silver bullets to, I don't think you have a silver bullets type of defense. It's not a silver bullet type of scheme. So when you don't have a silver bullet type of scheme, I don't think you can blame the bullets.
So you say that there's not a way for anybody to really stand out and be aggressive in this defense?
No, but I really don't, because at the end of the day, especially even when you look at the linebackers, because we're used to a very aggressive style of linebackers.
Yes, we are.
And the linebackers are having to hold that gap control to make sure that there's no cutback, there's no run through the A gap, so that the safeties don't have to react to that run. So because safety has to protect that run, and then they got to go back. So primarily, the defense runs by the 5 defensive backs, not the heart of the defense, which is typical, is the linebackers. Our linebackers' feet are in concrete, right, when the ball is snapped. So they're waiting and then reading and then reacting. And that's why I believe they look a little slow.
Let him loose. Let him loose. Now, guys, Jim Knowles said in the past, when it comes to the defense, it's all about balance, balancing the raw talent at his disposal by letting his guys just play their game within the structure of a defensive scheme. Now, Obi, I'm going to kick it to you first. Your thoughts on his coaching style and production so far in year 3. I know you touched on that linebacker play and wanting to let them loose a little bit more.
Yeah, you know what? It reminds me you know what? Do you remember the movie Hitch? And when Will Smith was trying to teach Albert how to dance,
and
he said just keep him in the 2-step, right? It's like we have all these 4- and 5-star athletes, right? Like this. It's like keeping Michael Jackson in the 2-step, right? You know what I'm saying? We're never going to see the spin move. We're never going to see the moonwalk because you're afraid that he's going to go off beat somehow. But we got Michael Jackson. Let Michael Jackson dance, right? You know what I'm saying? Let Tuimoloau dance. Let Jack Sawyer dance. Let Cody Simon dance. Let
I know what you're
Sonny
saying
Styles
here.
dance.
Yeah, I like
right?
that.
This is what I'm saying. But, you know, hey, it's just me. It's just me.
Obi, I'd like to see you hit the moonwalk, too.
Well,
I'm just saying.
but you know the 2-step, right? Remember Will Smith was like, keep it right here. He's trying to do all this, right? He's like, no. And that's how Jim Knowles is. He says, keep it right here. We're not going to give up the big play. We may give up 1 or 2 big plays, but that's all we're going to give up.
Why is that? Because he came from a Big 12 situation in Okie State where he didn't have the athletes Ohio State had. Right. He didn't have guys that could moonwalk and that could spin and that could Chris Brown it. So he had to keep his guys right there in this little box.
Not at Ohio State.
But you got superstars now on defense, Jim. Let these boys rock. And I understand you wanted to maintain integrity in the back end and you don't want to give up big plays. We saw a couple years ago how that hurt Ohio State's defense against Georgia in a game that they could have won and went on to be national champs. I don't want to get into that because it's sickening for me.
Still hurts.
It still stings. Came within a field goal of being champions. Whatever. The point of it is Jim has got to let these guys go a little bit. This is not the Big 12. We have better athletes. Trust these boys a little bit. Trust these linebackers. You know, when I had A.J. Hawk and when I had Anthony Schlegel, these boys played downhill.
Yeah.
They did not blink. They flew through gaps. If they saw the ball, they went and got the ball. And so you need to allow your guys to do that a little bit. That's how you create those negative yardage plays, and that's how you gain momentum and get the boys going.
Yeah, this is a different OSU here. Now, for the most part, the Buckeyes have stayed healthy, but they have had some early injuries. Cody Simon missed the first game against Akron, and offensive lineman Donovan Jackson sat out the first 2 games. And against Marshall, the defensive line was without one of their preferred preferred starters in
Yes.
Tyleik Williams, who missed the game due to an injury. He is available today. That'll be good news for the Buckeyes. In his place, the Buckeyes opted to test out junior Hero Kanumik in his first career start.
My dog.
He had only started playing football just about 5 years ago and showed flashes of talent in his size and speed and to give him, but he needs to be more consistent. Tywan Malone also looked good, but Jay, how would you assess the defensive line play from last week, and is depth an issue?
You know what? Actually, depth is not an issue. By the way, I love my guy Hiro Kanu there. He's a young pup that I'm trying to mentor here. Fantastic kid from Germany, and as you said, quick, twitchy. Big physical kid. And once he gets going and kind of catches up here to what's happening on the field, he's going to be devastating. But the defensive line, their rotational pieces look good. Kenyatta looked good. Caden Curry came in there, got a sack, created pressure. They look good. What I'm curious about is if our starting two defensive ends are going to start making a little bit of noise on third down. Just a little bit more noise, fellas. I love what they're doing on first and second. You can count on Jack Sawyer to hold the edge. That's what he does. You know Jaylon's going to do his thing on the right end on first and second down. But on third down, I want to see guys win faster. I want to see guys get off the football, use their hands, take great angles, and get to the quarterback, create pressure, and make things a little bit more difficult for these quarterbacks who are dual threat, who can make these snap decisions and get downfield and collapse that pocket. I think having Tyleik back is going to be huge. I hope he plays a lot because he is a game wrecker, and he will be a first-round draft pick.
100%. Now improving week to week, fixing what needs to be fixed, and being there to lift your brothers up is all part of the Buckeye mindset and that brotherhood. And it's the mindset that inspires DB coach Tim Walton.
I get a good revelation when I go speak to his son. His name is Jesus, the reason why every battle is won. Fear was sitting in my body. I never knew this before. A new spiritual encounter when he shows up at the door. I continue to give my life to you, because I know there's much more. So when I'm in my spiritual fight, trying to battle the beast, I always look up to the heaven, because you are my peace.
No, he always preaching. That's right, preach.
Yeah, you know what, Coach Walton has sent me a little message. He said the message is trusting God in all things, and anything that you go through, lean on him. He will always give you peace. Coach Walton believes that his players must have an outlet, right? They must have a way to unplug and download. And he shares that him and many other players incorporate spiritual wellness as a part of their mental wellness. Also, side note, September is Suicide Awareness Month. So if you or someone that you love struggles with thoughts of suicide, don't be ashamed. Go get help. Don't be too tough to fix that stuff.
Thank you for sharing that. Really good message there from Tim Walton and you right there. But when the house calls, he answers. Jeremiah Smith already leads the team in receiving yards and touchdowns, but will a trip up north cool him off a bit? I go one-on-one with the freshman phenom about his expectations surrounding his first road game. Plus, playing on the road comes with its challenges. We take a look back at 3 generations of Buckeye coaches and how they got their players ready for battle in a hostile environment. You're watching The Football Fever. We'll be right back.
This countdown to kickoff is sponsored by Division 7 Roofing.
Welcome back to the Football Fever. Here's a live look near Spartan Stadium in East Lansing. In just a few hours, that stadium will be coated in green as the Buckeyes look to take down the Spartans. All right, time now for the Atlas Butler offensive checkup, and so far he's living up to the crazy hype around him. That's right, our guy Jeremiah Smith has been torching opposing secondaries, and guys, he's having a lot of fun while doing it. Our Kellyanne Stitz sat down with the freshman phenom ahead of his first road game here at Ohio State.
Yeah, Ben, 4 touchdowns in 3 games as a true freshman. Jeremiah Smith has been fun to watch in scarlet and gray. The top overall recruit in his class is living up to the hype, leading the receiver room with 14 catches for 81 yards and 4 touchdowns. I talked with JJ about his first season as a Buckeye and what he's looking forward to in his first road game. Jeremiah Smith, the freshman phenom, you've had 4 touchdowns in 3 games. How much fun are you having at Ohio State so far?
I'm having a lot of fun just going out there competing, making plays, and just winning. I mean, just be able to experience the things that I'm experiencing in the shoe and stuff like that. So it's been a blessing so far.
Decorated track athlete in high school as well. We've seen that speed out of you. Is it more fun to catch a slant pass and turn on the burners or catch a deep ball?
I say catch a slant, take it to the house. That's really the best feeling, yes.
First Big Ten opponent on the road. How are you feeling ahead of this one?
I'm feeling great. We all feeling great in the receiving room, just the whole facility, the whole team. We feeling great going up there in the Michigan State and just going out there dominating and being Ohio State, that's all.
How have the veteran guys like Emeka helped you along so far?
He helped me a lot just when I first got here and everything that was going on, and him coming back. I heard I was one of the reasons he came back to mentor me. I mean, I can't thank him enough for that. So, I mean, just got to give him my all, and the rest of my teammates my all from here on out the rest of the season.
A few fun ones here. Nickname JJ. Yeah. Where does that come from?
I say from my mom or dad, one of them. Just something they've been calling me for the longest. I can't really recall how long.
A long time?
Yeah, a very long time.
So is that your middle name start with a J?
Yeah, middle name start with a J is Javon, first name Jeremiah. So I guess what they get it for. Yeah.
Do you have any other nicknames amongst your teammates?
No, not really.
Everybody's called you JJ?
Yeah, JJ. Well, high school, people call me Smitty. Yeah, Smitty. Yeah, so yeah, them the two really.
I like it. Maybe Gus Johnson's going to give you a nickname here soon in the season. Yeah. So Red Bull gives you wings. Maybe for you, it gives you speed. Becoming the first college athlete to sign with Red Bull, a big brand. How exciting was that opportunity for you?
It was a very good opportunity just to work with that brand and everything that comes with it. I mean, just some great people that I work with Red Bull. I mean, just been a blessing for being able to be the first college athlete that they signed. So it's just been a blessing for sure.
Did everybody get free Red Bull on your back?
Not yet. I got to though. I gotta get them all some Red Bull.
Hey, that's coming. And Geno Smith is your cousin, and he said that you will be the best receiver in due time. What does that support mean from him?
It means a lot. I mean, just being there. I mean, him just being there for me since I started playing football. He always seen something in me just before I was like 11 years old, 12 years old. Just came out the games whenever he had time to. So I just can't thank him enough for that, and just got to keep the legacy going.
JJ is first cousins with Seahawks quarterback Geno Smith. Talk about an athletic family, right?
That helps.
Right? Marvin Harrison Jr.'s breakout game, guys, was a sophomore against Michigan State. A game in which he put up 3 touchdowns. Do you think we could see that type of performance from JJ today?
Absolutely. First of all, the defensive backfield for the Michigan State Spartans is not fantastic. They kind of struggle there. And Jeremiah Smith, even if they were good, doesn't matter. Jeremiah Smith is special. He's a unique talent. He's a guy that has a combination of size, speed, ball skills, and burst. Most tall guys don't accelerate fast, but they eventually get running. He can kind of do both, and he's just trying to find his way in this offense. And all that they want to do, Chip Kelly and Ryan Day, just want to give him the ball in space, however they got to do it, whether that be slants, whether that be screens, and he can take it to the house from anywhere. He's a special talent. I think we all know that now, but I've got guys, and but there's a lot of my buddies who I played with are now scouts at the next level, and all of them say the same thing. this kid could play for an NFL team right now as an 18-year-old, and he might be one of the few guys they've ever said that about.
Yeah, I've heard comments about we need to make an exception for Jeremiah Smith when it comes to that 3-year rule in the NFL.
He is special. He's just different.
Well, you think he has the physicality, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you just look at him, you watch him run the routes. He's big, he's fast, he's strong. But for me, it comes down to the elite athletes, right? It's that mental toughness. And what happened in the first pass at Ohio State? He dropped the football, right? How do you respond as an athlete? Could have hung his head, could have had a tough first game, goes on to have a great first game at Ohio State. So for me, that was big. You look at what separates the good from the great. It's that, right between the ears right there. Jeremiah Smith has impressed me thus far.
Great point,
mental
Ben.
toughness.
Yeah.
There is a kid, his last name is Gross, out of Mansfield, Ohio, that will be in the Michigan State backfield. And I got a feeling that we'll hear something about him, but collectively, they're not going to be able to handle JJ. It's going to be too much. But like Ben was saying, I love the way that he responds.
Yep.
It's going to be a different atmosphere at night at Michigan State. So another time to mature. So I'm looking forward to that.
Knew you were going to show your Mansfield people some love. I was waiting for the Mansfield shout out. I was waiting for it.
Represent. Now, this will be Jeremiah Smith's first big business trip, but there are a lot of vets on this team who have played in many road games and have the travel routine down. I spoke with senior left tackle Donovan Jackson about what Friday and Saturday looked like heading up to a night kick, and he said it's a lot of rest and recovery and film.
Friday is just a lot of recovery. We put our bodies through a lot of pressure throughout the week to try to prepare. And so Friday is just trying to get back to that point of being fresh again. Then you get on the plane, recover on the plane, and you get to the hotel, recover in the hotel. Then you're just on your iPad watching film. So with it being a night game, you're going to be in the hotel for hours and hours on end. And so you can watch a little football, then go back to your notes and make sure you didn't miss anything. And you're on the bus and onto the stadium.
Is it like a strict bedtime on Friday nights?
There are bed checks, and guys who are smart go to bed. But I go to bed generally pretty early. I get made fun of. I'm a little bit of an old soul. I'm like staying up too late.
Left guard Donovan Jackson, got to put respect on his position. Now, Donovan, I feel you. I like my sleep too, and going to bed earlier if I can is always a priority. But guys, I'm sure there are some night owls on this team.
I struggled with that. I struggled with bed checks.
Okay.
I'd be in other guys' rooms playing cards, hanging out, playing video games, be forgetting, we got a game tomorrow.
Hey, that's team bonding though, right? Now, going on the road is never easy, and when you're away from the comfort of the shoe where 100,000 fans are singing your praises and you're put into a hostile environment where every mistake is jumped on, what would be your advice to some freshmen going on the road for the first time? Ben, let's start with you.
I would say just tunnel vision, right? I mean, one of my coaches, Luke Fickle, would always say it's about us, right? So you can go on the road. I don't know if you guys felt this. They say, hey, what's it like at Michigan State? What's it like going out to West Lafayette? I'm like, I have no idea. We go from the plane to the team hotel to the locker room, win the football game, hopefully, and then you go home, right? Tunnel vision. It's about us. So, you can look around certainly on campus if you want to and such, but you're there to win a football game, and that's what they need to do is take that next step today in Big Ten play.
Yeah, you know what? When we traveled up under Coach Cooper, it was nothing extravagant, nothing real sexy, to be honest with you. A lot of times we wouldn't even do the team walk around the field. We'd actually do it like around the hotel or something like that. They used to feed us
Team walk,
Wendy's.
Oh,
we used to have Wendy's burgers and fries and like hot chocolate and chocolate chip cookies, like all kinds of, But it was not the best. It wasn't the best absolute process, as far as what we did in our routine. Unfortunately, I can't lie. It wasn't sexy. I wish we did have more of a routine back then, but I know they do, especially when Tress came in. It really was a more extensive type of a routine, which I really did like.
Which we'll touch more upon that too as well. Jay, what would be your advice really quickly to a freshman?
I would tell young guys, find a routine that works for you and don't break your routine. It'll keep you comfortable, it'll keep you focused, and do not forget to hydrate. You see so many guys on road games need IVs and start to cramp up because through all the hoopla and everything you're going in the travel, you forget to hydrate because of all the, being in the air and all that stuff. It really changes things for you. So that's it. Just hydrate, and as Ben said, stay focused and locked in.
So all three of you played in very different eras of Buckeye football. Obi, you played under John Cooper. Jay, you were part of the Jim Tressel era. And Ben, you saw the tail end of Tressel's tenure and the beginning of Urban Meyer's as head coach. Now, how did each of your coaches help prepare you and your teammates for big away games, and what did that routine look like? We kind of touched on it. Was there strict bedtimes? Obi, you got Wendy's. So, Obi, I want to hear more about your story.
I jumped the gun a little bit to answer that question earlier. But essentially, we used to take team walks around the hotels, like I said, didn't have the best nutritional snacks before the game, and that wasn't somebody who was like a night owl, and that's challenging.
My coaches were different. I was blessed to go. I went, Tress, and then Coach Fickle for 1 year, who's doing an amazing job in the Big Ten, and then Urban. I broke it down like this. It's like, do you perform better through comfort, or do you perform better a little on edge? When I think of Jim Tressel, you probably can allude to this as well, Jay. You have the team chapel. You're going on the team walk, team meal. He always talked about the football family, right? The winner's manual, winning the game of life, et cetera. It was a real close-knit group, which it felt like. With Urban, when he came, we did those type of things, but I remembered, we heard him just talk about Donovan there doing the bed checks. Urban Meyer in his first year, which, bringing a lot of, street cred, coming to Ohio State, he personally would knock on your door, come in, shake your hand and say, let's have a good game tomorrow, look you square in the eye. And there was this family feel, but it was almost this fatherly expectation, like, you better get it done, right? I mean, imagine the head guy coming and,
look in the eye.
you're sitting there in bed with your roommate and you're like, all right, let's have a good day tomorrow. Here we go.
Were you up under blankets when he like?
He didn't bring me any more milk.
So we didn't tuck you in.
We didn't tuck you in. Oh, some tough love.
Yeah, I think Ben alluded to it. Jim Tressel came in and he brought this spirituality to our football team. He brought this atmosphere of peace, of calm, of focus, and quiet time was always very, very important to him, even as a unit. I mean, we'd all get together and just be quiet. And we'd sit, and he'd want us to meditate, and he'd want us to focus on what it is we had to do. And I thought that was your unique approach to it. And what Ben said, because I've actually been in the Blackwell on a night where Urban's coaching and visit with the team. And Urban, it's night and day, man. Guys are on edge. There's a little bit of tension, and I think that's a good thing. Both methodologies can work, okay?
Both
run championships. I got a ring, and guys that played under Urban got a ring. So it can work both ways. It just depends on the team. But I think it's very unique to watch both of them approach the game like it's like the yin and the yang.
All right, guys. Now, speaking of being on the road, our Dave Holmes is enjoying his first road trip with the Football Fever. And when I first started here at ABC6, my first Buckeye road game was at Michigan State as well. Dave carrying on the tradition. Now, Dave, what's your road game routine look like?
Yeah, Kellyanne, people disappointed here. The tailgaters here at Michigan State were expecting Kellyanne, and they got a Dave instead. It's like when you bite into a chocolate chip cookie and taste raisins. So I feel bad for them. But yeah, our routine, let me take you behind the curtain here, what we do on the Fever. Sadly, we don't fly private like the Buckeyes. So we drove here yesterday. We normally get in mid-afternoon, check into our hotel, then shower, change, go over to the Buckeye team hotel. Ohio State, like the guy said, very structured, very much about tradition. And they normally stay in the exact same hotel every Big Ten city they go to. They always arrive between 5:30 p.m. and 6:30 p.m., at which point we talk to Ryan Day quickly as he gets off the team bus, 2 or 3 final questions. You might notice that when I'm live on ABC6, we never mention the hotel. We always shoot generic brick behind us. That's a safety and a security thing, because if you talk to some Ohio State players, they'll tell you horror stories over the year if their hotel gets exposed. Maybe some crazy fans run up and down the hallways banging pots of pans at 2 in the morning and wake them up. That stuff actually happens, so we never reveal the location of the hotel. If we have time, I always ask the locals, where's your best burger? What's your place? Where's the best place here on campus? Quite often it's too busy to get into, but we try to eat at some of the local spots if possible. Saturday, we do the Fever, 11 to noon, of course, and then we normally get to the game around 2.5 hours before kick. The Buckeyes always arrive 2 hours before kick. That's part of their routine. Best part, of course, is when the game begins. You sit there, eat free food in the press box. What's not to love? Then it gets really crazy at the end of the game. At the 5-minute mark of the fourth quarter, the media is allowed to leave the press box and go down to the field. So the last 5 minutes of every game, you'll see me maybe on the broadcast standing behind one of the end zones waiting for the game to end. Then it's post-game. When the Buckeyes play at home, post-game goes a long time. They bring us tons of players to interview. When it's on the road, it's much quicker because they're getting back on the private flight. And they're home in Columbus quite often before I get back to the hotel in East Lansing. So we'll probably be here tonight until, I'd say 12:30, 1 in the morning, record a few segments. We're doing the Fever post-game tonight, record some things for tomorrow morning. It's a fun experience. We are very regimented like the Buckeyes. But Kellyanne, the road trip, the most important thing, save your receipts. That's it. That's all I got. That's the best advice. Save those receipts.
Dave, that's a veteran move right there. All right, thank you so much, Dave. Now, he's creating a Buckeye home base in that state up north with his art. We'll introduce you to this young artist who combines his love of Ohio State football and art to bring his favorite athletes to life on paper. That's coming up.
All right, time now for another G&J Pepsi fantastic photo of the week. And no, this is not an aerial shot of Ohio Stadium. It's actually a chalk drawing on a parking space in Michigan, of all places. That's right, it was created by a young Buckeye fan holding strong in that state up north. Remember to send us your photos of how you're watching our Buckeyes by going to chime in on the ABC6 app, and we look forward to seeing you there. Now, that amazing chalk drawing isn't the only thing that was created by this talented teen. That's right, he also drew this black and white portrait of former Ohio State quarterback C.J. Stroud. You'll see behind me here. Hard to believe that's a piece of art and not a photo. Kellyanne, you actually got to speak with this young artist and his father. Yeah, Ben, Brian and Owen Thomas are huge Buckeye fans, proudly repping scarlet and gray in that state up north. I caught up with the talented father and son duo who have combined their love for Ohio State with their passion for drawing.
I pretty much have watched every game probably for the last 15, 20 years.
Brian Thomas started cheering on the Buckeyes when he was 12 years old in Fayette, Ohio.
I remember the 2002 national championship very well. Craig Krenzel and Maurice Clarett and those guys. Miami and the controversial pass interference call in the end zone.
While Brian was watching Ohio State football, he also picked up the pencil.
I've been drawing since I was probably 13 or so. I started doing portrait drawings of just like athletes that I liked when I was a kid.
Brian took his passion of drawing and the Buckeyes with him to Petersburg, Michigan, inspiring his son Owen's love of Ohio State and art.
I remember just sitting watching over my dad's shoulder like, wow, he's really good at that. I could do that.
Brian's first portrait of an athlete was Michael Jordan. Owen wanted to be like his dad and tested his skills. Owen's version on the left, Brian's on the right.
I think his shading's a little bit better than mine.
Owen went from drawing MJ to CJ. The second overall pick and former Ohio State quarterback CJ Stroud inspired Owen's first big portrait.
I love him because he's a proclaimed Christian. He loves God and so close to a national championship. And if Michigan hadn't cheated, he would have beat them all three.
Stroud winds up, throws a deep ball sideline. Caught! Touchdown!
Stroud did great things at the shoe, and Owen wanted to bring his arena to life, painting Ohio State's field and his parking space at school in Michigan. His work received over 431,000 views on X and heckling from other students.
Oh, we're proud. Everybody knows we're Buckeyes.
Now, Owen plans to pursue a career in engineering, but says drawing is a hobby for life, and he's currently working on another C.J. Stroud portrait of him dropping back for a pass as a Texan. Owen is only a 17-year-old, guys. He is extremely talented.
I went to CCAD and did a little bit of art as a kid. I thought I was pretty good. I'm nowhere near where this kid is. Like, this is unbelievable. He has a gift, and he should stick with it because that was beautiful.
I would have to agree. Are you an artist, Obi? Is that
no, I'm a supporter of artists.
Okay.
Me too. Supporter of art.
That's a good way. We support the art. Myself as well. All right, now the Buckeyes open conference play against an opponent that they should be able to handle today, but that hasn't always been the case versus Sparty. We take a look back at the somewhat troubled history for the green and white versus the scarlet and gray. This is the Football Fever. Stay with us.
Plus, why Ryan Day says he's not happy with the Buckeyes' 3-0 start to the season. And in fact, he says no one should be happy. We'll hear from the disgruntled Buckeyes head coach next on the Football Fever.
Welcome back to the Football Fever. The Buckeyes are in East Lansing this morning, counting down the hours until they put the Spartans to the sword. But this Michigan State team is on the rebound. They're a sneaky 3-1 to start the season after wins against Prairie View, Maryland, and Florida Atlantic, and a close loss to Boston College. Despite the loss, this is a much improved unit who seem to finally be breaking the mold that saw the program suffer 3 losing seasons out of the last 4. But it's not the opposing Spartan players that has many Buckeye fans nervous. It's the fact that Michigan State has played spoiler for the Buckeyes on several occasions. The Bucks have only lost to the Spartans 15 times in the 52 meetings between the two teams dating back to 1912. But some of those losses have gone on to spoil the season. Like this loss back in 2011, the Spartans came into the shoe for both teams' conference openers. Ohio State's freshman quarterback Braxton Miller couldn't get anything going offensively, and Michigan State walked away 10-7 the winners that season. The Buckeyes would have one of their worst finishes ever in the Big Ten, going 3-5. Then in 2013, the two teams met in the Big Ten championship. Ohio State was undefeated heading into this game, but the Spartans, they came to play, leading the Buckeyes 17-0 in just the first 21 minutes. The Bucks tried to spark a comeback, but would end up losing 24-34. The loss meant Ohio State's title hopes were dashed, and it also had the unfortunate consequence of ending head coach Urban Meyer's 24-game winning streak. And who can forget this painful moment? This was the last time the Spartans beat the Bucks. Again, Ohio State was undefeated heading into this game, but a last-second field goal from Michael Geiger, who is from Ohio, handed the Bucks their first loss. The kicker wheeling away in celebration. The Bucks would go on to beat that team up north the very next week before dominating in the Fiesta Bowl against Notre Dame, but that loss meant OSU wasn't able to defend their national title. The Spartans always seem to play spoiler, especially for one OSU head coach. For more on that, I'll send it over to the guys. Ben, Obie, and Jay, take it away.
All right, thanks, Kellyanne. Michigan State hasn't defeated the Bucks too many times, but when looking at former head coach Urban Meyer, they always seem to be a tough hurdle for coach. If we compare Urban Meyer to our current head coach, Ryan Day, we see an interesting pattern that develops. Essentially, thus far, Ryan Day has only lost to the big dogs in college football. In his 5 seasons as the OSU head coach, Day is 56-8, while Urban Meyer was an impressive 83-9 through 7 seasons as a Buckeye. But Ryan Day has only ever lost to Michigan, and essentially whoever the Bucks have played in the college football playoff, with the exception of Missouri last year. Now, as for Urban Meyer, he has a few blemishes on his coaching record, especially when it comes to conference play. As we all know, a perfect record against that team up north is the crown jewel, but you will see losing efforts to Purdue, Iowa, Penn State, Virginia Tech, and of course, Michigan State twice. So Jay, why do teams struggle in general with what we would call these trap games?
Ben, there's certain elements to a trap game. And listen, I watched a trap game just last week, fellas. You guys know I was drafted by the Raiders, spent most of my pro career there. So I go out there for, some alumni time, spend some time and check out them versus the Panthers, who are a horrible football team leading into this game. By the way, the Raiders were coming off of beating the Baltimore Ravens. So in my head, everyone's thinking, oh yeah, they should kill the Panthers. And in my head, I was like, something's going to go wrong. This is a trap game. And sure enough, they get their butts kicked by the Panthers and Andy Dalton. The point I'm making is the elements are usually you're coming off an emotional victory. Usually you're heading into a team that you're going to underestimate, and then they get the better of you because they have a little bit more talent than you give them credit for. I do not see any of those elements in this game tonight. I don't see it coming off an emotional victory versus Marshall. No, it wasn't very emotional. We kind of knew how this was going to go, and it went as it should. And I think the Buckeyes have a decent respect for Michigan State, and I don't think Michigan State is just, sneaky good. There's none of those things are happening. So, fellas, I think the Buckeyes are safe for today. I don't know. You guys tell me.
You agree or a different perspective here?
I mean, pretty much I agree. Michigan State has always been the third son of a 3-son family in the Big Ten. I mean, it's Ohio State, Michigan, then Michigan State, and they're always that little brother that's trying to get ahead of their big brother. I think when you look at Michigan State, you look at 1999. I think, and you look at 1999, Coach Cooper went 4 straight passing plays, did not run the ball with Joe Montgomery. You look at another time where you have a 4th and 1 with Braxton Miller. You run Braxton Miller while you have oh my God, I just forgot his name.
Carlos Hyde.
Carlos Hyde.
I remember that.
In the back, right? And so you look. I think Michigan State has the ability, right, to get you out of character,
Sure.
right? When you look at Michigan State, you lost with Ezekiel Elliott. He didn't touch the ball one time in the second half. How do you have Ezekiel Elliott and you don't run Ezekiel Elliott? So you look at when Michigan State typically wins, Ohio State has stepped out of its character, right? Coach Ryan Day is not like that. He's never suffered with that identity crisis, if you will, with Michigan State. I don't think it's going to be a problem.
Call it what it is. Coaching mishaps.
Of course.
Right? Poor coaching decisions lead to upsets.
Right.
And Ryan's not going to make those bad decisions.
Stay in your lane. That's some good advice going into this one. Now, Urban Meyer struggles against Sparty, and Ryan Day's ability to get the job done in conference play were some of the main topics of this week's Buckeye Fever podcast. Our Dave Holmes caught up with Urban at last week's Big Noon Kickoff and asked him why it was often a struggle against the Spartans. To hear his answer, make sure to listen to the Buckeye Fever podcast. New episodes drop every Wednesday on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. Well, a win against Michigan State will surely make Buckeye fans happy, but will it make Coach Ryan Day happy? For more on that, let's send things out to our Dave Holmes. Dave?
Yeah, I mean, Ryan Day does not want to talk about being happy about these wins. I mean, if you look at him the last few years, they haven't made it to the Big Ten title game. He's still looking for his first national championship as a head coach. So, no, he's not satisfied as of now with this 3-0 start. All we heard all off season, these big expectations. You bring in Will Howard, Quinshon Judkins, Jeremiah Smith, Seth McLaughlin, Caleb Downs, and Ryan Day said that's great, but it doesn't mean anything unless we win games on the field. So here's Coach Day talking about that 3-0 start and how he feels.
I don't feel good about anything. That's just my mindset. Yeah, I mean, I don't. And that has to be everybody's mindset. You start to feel good about something, and complacency can sneak up on you fast. So nobody feels good about anything. I think we're building confidence in it, though. I think guys are starting to, okay, we can get after some people now, and they're starting to have a little bit of fun and say, like, I'm going to line up against you and get after you. And I think, to me, in the way the running backs are running, and that you can feel that's palatable when you're out there. And so we got to keep building on that.
Complacency is the enemy of greatness. I had a chance to talk to Ryan Day when he got off the team bus last night for about 90 seconds. He said, we're ready to go. We're locked in. I think the Buckeyes will avoid that complacency tonight here at Spartan Stadium. We have plenty more here from East Lansing coming up next on the Football Fever.
Now to the Football Fever Best Trivia in the Land, sponsored by Parlay Sporting Club and Kitchen. This week's question is, when did Ohio State win its first national championship? Was it 1942, 1968, or 2002? These are getting a little more difficult, everyone. Simply scan the QR code. You would say that, Jay. On your screen and answer the question correctly, and you could win a $100 gift card to Parlay Sporting Club and Kitchen to enjoy some of this amazing food you're seeing right now. All right, coming up next, the Buckeyes learned some hard truths after their game against Marshall. They walked out with a win, but it could have been much worse. As we know, the major mistakes that gave the Thundering Herd a fighting chance and how the Buckeyes look to fix them moving forward. This is the Football Fever.
Wherever the last football game is.
Brandon Innes, the deep man for Ohio State. He signals for the fair catch. Bobbled it, loose, picked up. Marshall has the football.
Brandon Innes almost learning the hard truth of what it means to muff a punt like that. The wide receiver being bailed out by a penalty on Marshall. Coach Day kept Innes out there for the redo, and he was able to catch the punt at the second time of asking. But Day says that they developed that trust based on what they see in practice and in the offseason and in games. And he says Innes has proven he is reliable as a returner despite this scare.
I never really batted an eye. I asked him what happened. I said, did it cut up in the wind? He said, no. It was the sun. And so, we kind of went with him, and we have confidence he'll do a great job.
That wasn't the only special teams snafu against Marshall. Jaden Fielding has been a reliable kicker for the Bucks for the last 2 seasons, but he had 3 straight kickoffs out of bounds last weekend. Day mentioned that Fielding is dealing with a tweak that led to those issues. Nothing long term. Still, special teams is important. The Bucks look to dominate in all 3 phases. Ben, what's being done to address these issues on special teams?
Get this together, Ben.
No, this is good. You're right. We talked about it a little bit in the post game last week, Kellyanne. We said, when talent is equated, special teams are magnified. Obviously, we're not seeing that in our first few games. But when you get into the Michigan States and down the road in the Big Ten, you have to be better. Listen, last week the special teams were very unspecial, as my friend Jay Richardson likes to say sometimes. Brandon Inniss, it's simple. It might come to surprise some people, but these guys are very aggressive, right? They might be looking for a lane before they catch the football. You have to, step 1, step 2, step 3, just watch it in. This guy's an incredible athlete. We know he has it. Jaden Fielding, I was happy to hear, actually, there might be a little injury or a tweak because this guy, we know he can get the job done. So not a mental thing. Hopefully he can rest, and we're going to move forward here.
All right, thank you so much, Ben. We'll be right back. You're watching The Football Fever. Stick with us.
Should have dressed up.
Time now for the Hyundai Keys to the Game crowd control. You don't want Michigan State to believe in themselves. You got to take them out of it early. Key number 2, be special. They just talked about it in the last segment. I'm talking special teams. You can't kick the ball out of bounds 3 times when these games get more difficult. Key number 3, stay hungry. You have a 3-0 start. We heard Ryan Day talk about complacency. You must avoid that today on the road in East Lansing. And guys, for the rest of us who are staying hungry, we can't play a football game. So what do we do when we're hungry?
Well, I'll tell you what, speaking of staying hungry, we've got just the thing to fix that. Jane Grody-Abel and Donato's are here to unveil their newest concoction. Jane, what do we have here?
This is the official Block O pizza that we are selling in our stores. How do you like that?
Looks pretty good.
Yeah, looks good.
You gonna dig in for one?
I'm taking one home.
After we
You can take
wrap
one
up.
home.
We get to take
Look at it. I feel like we should
All
dig
right.
in right now.
We'll see you after the game. This is The Football Fever.
Heather, I'm on my way.
Cheers.